Well, good morning. Good morning, everyone. I want to extend my gratitude for all of you being here today and want to thank our media representatives for your continued coverage and support during these challenging times. As mayor of the City of Alton, I know that the recent events at Gordon Moore Park have caused a great deal of concern and disruption for our community. The mine subsidence and subsequent sinkhole has been absolutely unprecedented, and the safety and well-being of our residents still remain my top priority. But today I want to share some important updates of the progress that we have made thanks to the diligent efforts of New Frontier Materials and the collaborative work with the Mining Safety and Health Administration, which I'm going to call MSHA because that's a mouthful. And I'm going to call New Frontier Materials NFM, just for sake of clarity. NFM has provided the City of Alton with detailed drilling locations and measurements of the mine ceiling beneath the park roadway, ball field, and golf course. Those that were initially in question and led to the closure of the park. These areas were included in the previous MSHA K order. I'm pleased to report that New Frontier Materials has been working tirelessly on drilling and bolting the mine ceiling to ensure a safe work environment for their workers as they carry out the investigative drilling. The results of these efforts have been encouraging. New Frontier Materials, or NFM, has been methodically drilling the mine ceiling to verify the thickness of the rock and has found results consistent with the historical conditions of the mine. These drilling results have been shared with MSHA and who has now issued a revised K order for some of the areas within the park. Our city civil engineers and geotechnical engineers have also visited the mine, reviewing the investigative drilling and bolting work, and are in full agreement that sufficient rock ceilings thicknesses are in place in these areas. Based on these findings, I am pleased to announce that we can now recommend the reopening of the park roadway and golf course areas where investigative drilling has confirmed that the ceiling rock thickness are adequate to support the ground surface above. This is a significant step for our community, allowing us to begin returning to the activities and routines that make Alton such a vibrant place to live. However, I still must emphasize that safety remains our utmost concern. While we're making progress, we're not entirely out of the woods yet. Ball field number 1 will remain closed for a little while longer as continued work is completed in this area. Additionally, areas that still require investigative drilling will remain closed until the data shows they are safe for normal surface activities. These areas are fenced off to ensure public safety until they are deemed safe. NFM will continue their investigative drilling work, working toward the sinkhole to identify and isolate areas where the ceiling rock thickness is inadequate. Once the extent of these insufficient thicknesses are fully understood, repair plans will be developed and implemented. In closing, I assure you that the City of Alton is committed to transparency and safety throughout this process. We have been and we continue to be. We are working closely with all stakeholders to ensure that our park and community are not only restored, but strengthened by the lessons that we have learned. I am hopeful and confident that together we will emerge from this situation stronger and more united. I also want to thank the offices of Congresswoman Nikki Budzinski, State Representative Amy Elliott, and Senator Eric Harris for their continued support during this time. I also want to thank all of these wonderful department heads who are standing behind me or standing to the side of me. They have provided me much support and insight regarding this incident, and I value their expertise. I have Lindsay Younger, who is our interim Park and Rec Director, Bianca Jackson out of the Mayor's office, Mike Parsons, who is our Public Works Director, and John Frankie, who is our major for the police department, as well as our outgoing public works park and rec director, Mike Haynes, and our comptroller, Debbie Dunlap. Also with us today is Justin Kleinschmidt. So I just want to take this time once again to publicly thank Mike for, 14 years of service? How long? 10 years? Okay. Gave you more than your credit. Okay. But thank you for all of your work. You know, I also want to thank the surrounding communities who took us in and provided their facilities to accommodate us during this time of the park closure. They were very instrumental, and this shows this is what community is all about. And I want to express my heartfelt gratitude to the ones who took in our different tournaments, our softball leagues and different things, and to SIUE who welcomed the Alton River Dragons to their facility to play. And so it just takes a community, like I said, a rising tide raises all ships, and they did a fantastic job in accommodating us in our time of need. So thank you once again for your attendance and support. We will continue to keep you informed as we move forward. The safety and well-being of our community remain our top priority, and with your continued cooperation, we will ensure that Alton continues to thrive. Thank you very much. I open up for questions.
When you say you recommend the park be open, what do you mean by that? Who does that recommendation go to, and who ultimately decides when the park reopens?
I am glad you asked that. After receiving the MSHA order was our main determining factor in regards to when we're going to reopen the park, because that K order went right through the main entrance, the roadway of the main entrance to the park, and extended to the golf course. All that area has been deemed safe, so now we can safely open the park.
So it is open, or you're recommending that it's open?
No, it's not open, and just to go public right now, we're planning on opening Gordon Moore Park this Friday at 7 a.m. So I will be there to unlock the gates, and open the gates, and I know it's a school day, but hopefully I'll have some family members there, some grandkids there, and we're going to play in the park before school happens, just to show that our park is a safe park to be in. So there it is, Friday, which is August 16th is at 7 a.m. The park's going to be open, once again, with the exception of ball diamond number 1. We have fencing. We have fencing all around the sinkhole area, along with the regular fence that fenced in that property. So that obviously will be off limits.
Are there mines then underneath the golf course and the other areas that are opening?
Yes.
And then who permits that? Can like the mine company just drill anywhere, or go into anywhere, or who regulates the mines underneath the park?
Well, we have a lease. They lease the property from us, and so they basically have been under the park drilling for as long as I can remember. The park opened up in 1978, and so they've been under there, but I can assure you that it's just basically relegated to the park. No residents have been affected by the drilling. They don't drill under residential areas at all, and they don't go towards Route 140, or they don't go across the street to the north side of the park.
With mines being underneath other parts of the park, what would you maybe say to residents who are a little wary returning, knowing what just happened?
That the park has been deemed safe. We showed an abundance of caution. Could we have opened up the park right after this happened? Sure, we could. But we felt, that we should use an abundance of caution just to make sure, because that was a serious thing that happened. And we know that people are going to be kind of leery, and so we'll continue to encourage them to come back to the parks to enjoy the facilities and all the amenities that will be open again.
I know you mentioned the golf course specifically and then the roadway, but I know further back is where the River Dragons play. Is their field gonna be open as well, or is it just the golf course specifically?
No, everything is going to be open except for Diamond One. That's all off limits, and then the area where the sinkhole is, that will be off limits.
Correct, that's the map there.
Does that include the golf course? The golf course is also going to
The golf course is also going to be open, and Mary Campbell asked me to please give her a shout out, because she has been definitely someone who has been anxious for the golf course to open again, and so I'm just giving a shout out to Mary. Mary, your golf course is opening on Friday.
Well, Saturday.
Saturday.
They're taking tee
Yeah.
times for Saturday.
Saturday, yes, Saturday, I'm sorry, Saturday.
What's the plan? You might have already said this before. What's the plan with the sinkhole going forward?
Well, going forward, as I stated in my comments, that they will continue the investigative drilling underneath, and now that they have went through that K zone that was established, that K order or K zone that was established by MSHA, now they're going to start doing the drilling and really investigating that sinkhole to determine, the cause of it, because they just haven't been there at this point, because they wanted to deem the area that MSHA declared under the K order. They wanted to ensure that was safe and that there would be sufficient rock sealing thickness so there would be, no more collapses.
Did they give you a timetable or an estimation of how long it takes before those parks could be reopened?
No, not at this time. They haven't given us a timetable, but they're continuing the investigative drilling, and we'll continue to give weekly updates of where we're at and continue to send out press releases. And if we have some really good information, we'll call another press conference.
Has the city and the company made any progress on determining who pays for the repairs?
We haven't crossed that bridge yet. We haven't crossed that bridge. I think it's kind of in phases. We wanted to ensure that everything underneath the park was safe, and then open up our park, and then look at the sinkhole, and that's still down the road.
Will the city continue leasing the land, the underground rights to New Frontier Materials?
Yes, ma'am.
Has the city considered releasing any kind of public map of just how far the mines extend and where they are, just so that the public can know where they are?
We inquired of that, and that is really confidential information that they're not willing to share at this time. And I don't say that in a negative way. I completely understand, but that was a thought, so that we could just share, maybe like on our city website, the entire thing, but maybe down the road. But I think for legal things and like that, they probably are not reluctant to do that, and I understand that completely.
And when you say they, who is they?
In New Frontier Materials,
They provide a reason for that?
just confidential issues, that's all.
Can you speak to the economic impact of being able to reopen the golf course and where the River Dragons play? I know that's a big source of income for parts of the park.
Well, unfortunately, the River Dragon season is over, but hopefully there will be some other. They will be able to host some other tournaments there. I'm not sure at this time if there are any scheduled baseball tournaments or anything there at Lloyd Hopkins Field, but obviously it was an economic impact to them, because when they had to go to other places to play, they were not able to sell concessions. They were at the liberty of the other facility and their concessions, and then there was a fee to play on it, but still it was nice that they welcomed them there.
How do you plan to keep people from just jumping the fence to go check out the sinkhole once the park reopens?
Well, they probably got to be Olympic high jumpers to be able to climb that fence, because it's a pretty good sized fence. How many feet is that fence?
Should be 6 foot.
6 foot. So, well, maybe not in high school.
Play devil's advocate, the old saying goes, show me a 6-foot fence, I'll show
Yeah.
you a 7-foot ladder. Do you
Yeah.
plan on having any security in there?
Yes, we're still planning on having security, and we have cameras out there 24/7. So we're So we'll continue to keep watch on that. I mean, the devil's advocate, it's just like this, you know, you can't really police human behavior. If somebody wants to do it, they're gonna do it. We're gonna put our best foot forward to try to, you know, curtail that and not allow that to happen, but, you know, it'll remain lit up at night so that if anybody is there, they'll be seen, so.
I know Marquette Catholic Soccer uses where the sinkhole was, but their baseball team, will they be able to come back to Lloyd Hopkins Field?
Absolutely.
What about ball field number 1, showed a cause for concern to keep it closed during this time?
Justin, will you speak to what
Yeah.
they said about ball field number 1?
So the K order was modified, that area underneath ball field number 1. There is some additional work that needs to be done, not necessarily to check the thicknesses of the roof ceiling, but more for the safety of the mine guys down below. So that's the reason why MSHA didn't clear that area yet. We don't have any concerns on ball field number 1 at this point, but we just didn't want to release it yet because that K order is still in place there.
Can you say and spell your first and last name, Brad?
And your title.
And your title?
Justin Kleinschmidt, Vice President of Shepherd Morgan Schwab Engineers. Last name is Kleinschmidt.
So you would be the one who can help us explain these maps. What are
Correct.
we looking at on these?
Correct, yeah. So on my left, that is the current areas that will be fenced off. No access is allowed there. The soccer fields, there's an existing fence around there. There will be some additional fencing that has been put up to outside of those fences, keep people out of there. The parking lots that are to the south of the soccer concession stand, we're keeping people out of there just to try to limit how much pedestrian traffic is around the sinkhole area. No concerns on the parking lots or anything like that, just more of logistics. And then ball field 1, like I said, you know, I've talked about that it's still closed off a little bit for a little while. We're thinking that's probably a week or 2 out from being cleared, but you know, there again, we're waiting on MSHA for that. Over here, the other exhibit is the limits of the lease agreement that New Frontier has with the city right now. There's, you know, it's bounded on the west by Homer Adams Parkway, Route 3, on the north, Route 140 through the park area. There is a section of property north of 140 that the city owns that is included in that lease, but there's been no mining further than 140, so.
That top square.
Correct, yeah.
So there's nothing underneath the road?
Underneath Route 140?
Yeah.
No, no.
Hey, Mayor, what kind of impact has the closing of the golf course had on that facility?
You want to talk, Mayor?
Or maybe Mike, do you think you want?
Yeah, I mean, the golf course has obviously been, I mean, they've been maintaining it the entire time that it's been closed. So it's actually in pristine condition right now with the lack of play there. But yeah, I mean, it's been hurting them financially, and in turn also hurts the city. So it's huge to be able to reopen Spencer T. Olin Golf Course. That was the main driver in getting the road open in order to get the public back there so that they could reopen and golfers could get in. So, yeah.
Sure, your name, Mike, real quick.
Michael Haynes, Director of Parks and Recreation.
How you spell Haynes?
Haynes.
Comment for Michael.
Sure, you've been dealing with lots of frustrated community members, parents. How are you generally feeling about getting to reopen?
Yeah, I mean, it's a step in the positive direction. There are some apprehensions to coming back, but we're going to ease it back in. I mean, I won't necessarily be here for all of the reopenings, but Lindsay, my deputy director, is going to take over here by the time the park reopens, and we are going to have fall soccer. You know, obviously our main area is going to be cut out, but we're going to work with all the surrounding fields away from the sinkhole area and on the north side of the highway, where we've all been told, you know, we've been told by all the experts that it is 100% safe. So that's what the city's going to do, is get back to our main objective, and that is, at least for the Parks Department, to provide recreational facilities for our residents.
Has the city estimated the financial impact of the closure of the golf course to the city's revenue?
I don't have that yet. I'm sure there will be well-documented numbers that will be available at some point.
Do you have any idea how many people go to the golf course a month when it was open, in a summer month especially?
I'm not the one with that information. I know it's hundreds per day, you know, especially on a nice day. But yeah, it's significant.
And also, just to know, there are some tournaments at Lloyd Hopkins Field scheduled for September and October, so that will be utilized again. And once again, our brand new pickleball courts, I know our pickleball players are going to be excited to be able to go back to the new pickleball courts, and those who love to fish at the lake, and they'll probably be excited to go back there. I normally take my grandkids there, and I haven't been able to, so I'm looking forward to now on the weekends since school has started to be able to take them fishing.
Okay. At the last press conference, there was a timeline given of when the subsidence was initially discovered. I believe it was around 4:30 a.m. Was there a specific reason why the park wasn't officially closed until later that day at 3 p.m.? Like, was there a reason why it wasn't closed earlier?
I really don't have that answer, but we were just trying to determine everything, and we were still just trying to get just figure some things out. And it was fortunate for us that it was raining that day, and so there was really nobody in the park that day at all. And so it wasn't really a rush, but once we had some meetings and talked amongst ourselves, we determined it then.
And this might be a question for Justin. Since the last press conference, has the status of the sinkhole changed? Like, has it gotten bigger? Has it?
In terms of the size of the sinkhole down in the mine, no. The top surface, like what we talked about before, that, you know, those sides were going to slough off and round off. It's done what it was supposed to do. But down below, they haven't seen any changes. So
There's been no increase.
Nope.
And just for reminding, how deep is that sinkhole?
They're 200 to 230 feet below ground right there. So from the soccer field surface to the bottom of the ceiling is about 170 feet, and those mines are 30 feet tall right there, so a couple hundred feet.
When you talk about from the top and seeing it kind of fallen a little bit, how much has that grown since it first happened?
Oh, it's probably double or triple the size of the initial hole that was on the surface. So.
And that's normal?
That's normal. When you had a sudden event like that, where an entire column of dirt just dropped down, you've got straight up and down sides, and it was gonna, you know, gravity wants to pull it in. So it's doing what it should. So.
In the most basic way, can you explain how people determine that the ceiling rock is substantial enough to reopen in a way that non-scientists can understand?
Think of a long drill bit that when you're down in the mine, they're drilling up through the ceiling. And that's the process that they've been doing. So that's in essence what they're doing. They're going around and checking all those thicknesses and drilling up through the surface. If they've got a certain length drill bit, if they drill that entire length and there's nothing but solid rock, then they can deem that, you know, they're fine. And that's what they found underneath all these areas. They haven't had any areas that show any thinning of the rock. So around the sinkhole, it's, you know, there was talks about it. It's just an anomaly where millions and millions of years ago, when that rock was put in place and formed, there's just, you know, there was a little void there that didn't have any rock in it, and that's what caused the collapse, is what they're expecting. But everywhere else, you know, underneath the roadways, underneath the golf course portions, no questions or no concerns with the thickness of the ceiling rock there. So.
And if we were going to reopen that
I've got some opinions, but then again, it's not my hole to fix. So that'll be coming from New Frontier at some point. They'll be tasked with coming up with a solution to fix that and fix the hole up on top of the surface. So.
Could you give maybe a few examples of what that could look like, just for people that don't have a background in this?
So the mine, they run on a pillar system down there, and basically what it is, the ceiling between 4 pillars collapsed. So they're going to probably have to block off one of those rooms that's between those pillars, and try to just work from the top down on filling that hole in, getting all that dirt stabilized, and building it back up. Eventually, you're going to get enough dirt in there and get it compacted, and you'll have a solid surface then. So that's just a thought I've got. How they're going to officially do it, we're not sure at this point. So.
Is the ceiling drilling, is that like regular practice for mining, or is that only when something bad is?
No, they're checking, doing all that. Another component of checking the thicknesses is the bolting process, and that is they've got 8-foot long steel bolts. They'll drill an 8-foot hole, put an epoxy in there, run that steel bolt in there, and tighten it down. That's more of a safety measure for the guys working down there. If they've got different layers of rock, if there's a section that where that layer might run through the thickness that they're mining out, if you've got a couple feet that might be unstable, they would bolt that area, and that's what they're having to do underneath underneath ball field 1. It's common practice in all mines is to bolt the ceilings like that. So they've been doing that. Yeah, they've done that throughout the history of the mine, and I would venture to say probably every mine across the country has at some point done some sort of ceiling bolting like that. That's pretty standard practice. So.
Some local experts have talked about possible karst conditions maybe leading to the collapse, and those are usually an anomaly, but if they're present in one place, they may be present in the surrounding area. Is there any way to test for that or to know about whether that's the case here?
It's, in terms of geology, hundreds of feet is pretty, typical. You don't see drastic changes in those areas. So for this to change that abruptly is an anomaly. Karst features, those, yeah, you can see those in areas. You don't go in there when you're drilling through that much rock. You don't drill every 5 feet to make sure that the next 5 feet is okay. You drill around the entire property and check to see that, okay, all your different areas around the property on a bigger grid are fine. So then when they have something like this that falls inside that grid that they checked everything else, they're going, it raises some questions. So yeah, certainly seems like an anomaly at this point. And they'll be, as they finish the rest of their bolting under the ball field 1, they're going to be working towards the sinkhole to drill those and find the limits of, is there any other areas there that might be in that area that has a thin rock layer. So it might be that there's some areas that get expanded there a little bit, probably not outside the limits of the soccer field, but that's to be determined here. So.
And just to understand your company's relation to the city, were you contracted after this happened to come in and help, or what?
We've done engineering work for the City of Alton for decades, and we do a lot of work with the City of Alton. So yeah, we've helped with other projects and rock slides and what else. So that's yeah, we help out when they need it. So.
Thank you.
Mayor.
Thank you, Justin. Well, if there are no more questions, once again, thank you all for coming, and we're excited about being able to open the park on Friday at 7 a.m. and then tea time at the park at 7 on Saturday. So once again, thank you all for coming.